Hello, everyone. Well, today we're going to talk a bit more about the topics that bring us here regarding our con racing course. We explain a bit about the differences regarding the characteristics of a payment provider, because a payment provider shouldn't be evaluated solely based on the final fee. There are many components or variables that are important when choosing a payment provider. And well, we need to take into account all the features of con racing. Today I want to talk to you about why a payment provider alone is not enough for a con racing operation. A fundraising person requires and needs not just a payment provider, but a whole fundraising platform. Afros, for example, is not the only one, but it's the one we're going to talk about in particular. And well, in a way, this explains why Afros and not just Gateway is necessary. So first of all, fundraising platforms are platforms that have quite a few features. They don't just have a single feature. They have various layers that they have to integrate. In our particular case, they have to integrate payments, that is, make it easy for you to use the payment framework. You shouldn't need any developers. The management of recurring donations is handled by payment platforms, along with optimization, CRM management, marketing and community engagement, and digital campaigns. This framework extends beyond the donation form. The data, the analysis of information about how your organization is doing, and in some way, those 5 things contribute to what would be a Congress platform. I emphasize their educational value and necessity. The data, the analysis of information about how your organization is doing, and in some way, those 5 things contribute to what would be a Congress platform. So, first of all, I want to emphasize something that I find very educational and that explains why they are absolutely necessary. Here you will see, also here you will find 2 examples of bad practices, right? I've crossed out the organization, so it shouldn't be identified by its name, but it's an example that I find important to highlight. What is the example? The example is you are asking for money, setting up a bank account so that you have used anonymous donation. This happens all the time. Many organizations are focused on the money, not on the people. So they just put donate here, bank account such and such, etc., etc. They focus on the state of their bank account and how much money came in, but they don't ask the most important question, which is who donated to me? The same thing happens in the other example I was showing you, which is, hey, this is a real example. It's not made up. It may seem unbelievable, but it's not. This is at the Mexico City airport. Clearly there's money there, but how many people are identified? None. So what I would call a campaign, not just a bad practice, is a useless campaign, a campaign that doesn't serve any purpose. It brings you money, but money isn't the most important thing. What's the most important thing? You need to focus capturing the data. You need to focus on, in some way, being able to have the data of the people who are going to donate to you. No matter how small the donation is, the most important thing for you is to be able to build a database. Therefore, your focus shouldn't just be on the money. It should primarily be on building a database of donors, that is, on acquiring donors. So in the course, we're going to talk a lot about that, how to engage with donors. So acquiring donors, knowing who donated to you, being able to have that person's data. When I say data, I mean the same thing. You need to have the email and the phone number. The minimum you need to have are those 2 pieces of information to be able to contact them, as it's absolutely necessary. And why? A donor who has donated before is more likely to donate again. When running a campaign, always target past donors for contributions. So when you run a campaign, we always have to be running campaigns. Fundraisers are campaigners. Every single one is a campaign. The campaign has to be able to reach out to those people who have already donated to you and ask for donations, because those people have already gone through the process of accepting you. They're going to do it again. In other words, those people are going to tell you again, hey, you know what? Yes, I want to donate to you more easily than someone who has never seen you. Therefore, the exercise of fundraising only begins to be profitable or financially viable in order for it to truly be an exercise that is constant and repeated. When you have a previously identified base of donors, if you don't have a base of donors, you can't do fundraising. So it's very important that that focus on data exists. So when I do things like, for example, ask for money in the bank account, I don't ask for the name because that doesn't work. It's controversial. Many wallets in some countries make donating easy. Yapi, David Plata, Bisu, examples. If those platforms don't give you the donor's name, phone, and email, it doesn't work. You might say, but everyone uses them. Yes, they do, but it's not foolproof. If you use them, learn how and have manual verification for donations. Direct everything to 1 or several pages called donation points, where the person must leave their information to donate. It's about you having, it doesn't matter how many donation channels you have. The people I promote on radio, send letters, hold events, do raffles, run campaigns, send emails, talk on social media. It doesn't matter where the traffic comes from. You have to direct everything to one or several pages, which we call donation points. I won't do anonymous. You have to direct everything to or several pages, which we call donation points, where the person has to leave their information in order to donate. I'm never going to do an anonymous process, and you have to do that through the fundraising platform. Why through the fundraising platform? Because the fundraising platform not only receives the donation, save the person in the CRM, integrate them with marketing mechanisms so you can thank them, add scoring to the person at the moment of donation, classify the person according to the campaign based on the source of the donation, and integrate the person into digital platforms so that your campaign can be optimized. None of that is done by a payment gateway. Therefore, it's very important that in all cases, you require the person to go through that donation mechanism. Otherwise, you'll never be able to have integrated data. And data in fundraising is everything. Remember that the most important thing is to know who donated to you, how much they donated, and how they donated. And that will give you the opportunity to grow. So, well, something important to keep in mind, two very important things. One, donor is a long-term asset. A donor is someone who enters my database and I need to work with them. Cultivate that relationship, build friendship, create a connection, and generate trust. It's very important so that person supports me in the short, medium, long, and very long term. And that happens when organizations work well. So a donor is not just the money that came in today. That perspective is irrelevant. It's not just that they gave me $20. I mean, sure, $20 is the contribution to your campaign, but the most important thing is what you can achieve with that person in the long run. So a donor is a long-term asset. And there's something important as well. In the database, there are not only donors. In the database, there are three things that we identify as the three most important aspects. One, you have leads. These are people who have never made donations, but they are in your database, and they are in your database with permission marketing or with outing. That is to say, they have authorized you to receive information from that person. The second part is unique donors. This means that the person has made one-time donations at least once. They may have donated several times, but they don't have a regular payment. And the most important part of the database is the recurring donors or partners. Many organizations call it by other names. Let's say partners, who are people that donate to you every month through an electronic mechanism. You don't have to ask for authorization every month. Instead, you automatically debit it through the system. They are perhaps the most important people because they provide you with financial stability. So you have those three things: unique donors, recurring donors or partners, and people who never donate, the leads. So it's really good that you have the concepts clear, because your job as a fundraiser will be to cultivate those people so that if they are donors, they maximize their contributions in the long run. And if they are not donors, they become donors. And well, then a record in the database can be that it can be a lead, it can be a donor, it can be a recurring donor, a major donor, or a socializer. Then I repeat the sequence. A lead can become a donor, becoming a one-time donor. They can become a recurring donor and say, hey, I'm going to make a recurring donation every month. They can also be a major donor who supports you significantly. Finally, they can help spread your cause. A database record can represent these stages. I can enter as a lead, donor, or partner. For example, I filled out a form and became a recurring donor. And this means that record in the database can represent any of those 5 stages. I can enter your database as a lead. I can enter as a unique donor. I can enter as a partner. Hey, I was on the street, you asked me for a Facebook page, I filled it out, and now I'm a recurring donor, and so on. You can have many things. So what's interesting about this process? The role of a fundraiser is to figure out, regardless of the current status of my record in the database, how I can help it evolve to the next stage. There's an evolutionary process, right? I have a person who entered as a lead. How do I move them forward? How to make donors recurring and maximize their funds and visibility impact? If I maximize it in a way that this person not only gives me money, but also helps give visibility to my cause. And well, that leads us to something very interesting, which is that between each step, there are a series of activities I need to carry out to maximize that person. It doesn't just happen on its own for that evolution to occur. For example, if I receive a link in the database from someone who said, I want to sign up for your newsletter. Okay, what am I going to do to help that person somehow become a recurring donor? So in a recurring donor situation, all the activities I can do to ensure that person receive the appropriate information in the organization, generate trust, believe me, want to support me, that is what we call a donor journey. The donor journey is usually a communication-based activity where email sequences are the most important. not only because they inform the person, not an email, a predefined sequence. What's more, they also collect scoring, and I need to handle the communication part of those email sequences. I also need to organize in-person activities and invite people to events and all kinds of multi-channel activities. So all the predefined activities at the moment, someone is a lead and doesn't want to become a first-time donor is what I call the donor journey of the first stage. Let's say the complete donor journey is when you have all the stages together. And in some way, you manage to create that donor journey. So something very important that I learn every time I execute that donor journey is that each person who enters my database interacts with me differently. There are people who never open the emails. There are people who open all the emails. There are people who open all the emails and click on all the links. And then there are those who are average. I use our platform's scoring system to find potential donors. Higher scores mean a better chance of donation. It's crucial to have a platform beyond payments. Scores guide donor journeys and event invites. The higher the score, the greater the likelihood of support. That's why it's very important for you to have a fundraising platform supporting this, beyond a payment system. It's a huge mistake to think that's all you need. There are many reasons why it's not enough. I create a score for each record, define a donor journey, set the score, and understand behavior. Everyone in my database should have a higher score if they support me more or are likely to. If their score is lower, they are less likely to support me. For a contact center campaign, who do I invite? The sum of the donor journey across 5 stages is my focus. I will display acquiring supporters, leading to first donation, encouraging recurring donations, upgrading donations, and turning them into socializers. These 5 stages and their interactions create a donor journey to the people who have the highest probability, etc., etc. And well, let's say that the sum of the donor journey across all 5 stages is what I need to focus on. I'll see how we can display it on the screen. The acquisition of supporters, meaning leads, how I lead them to their first donation, how I get them to make a recurring donation, how I encourage them to upgrade their donation, and how I turn them into socializers. Those 5 stages and the interactions between each stage are what create a donor journey. And that experience thought out for each of the stages is not the same when I'm a lead versus when I'm a partner. If I come in as a partner, my approach is completely different. And that's what introduces us to a donor journey, and that it is robust in terms of communication and engagement with its donors. If you don't have donors, Johnny, you don't function. It's very important that this happens, and I know many organizations that try to get donations, but don't take care of this process. So the process doesn't work well. And these 5 stages, what give the name to Afros. Afros is a marketing framework. It's not just a technology where the first letter of these 5 stages allows us to create this framework, so to speak. It's the framework of the donor lifecycle. And this framework evolves. Over time, we have some channels like Create You, Socialize, you have many alternatives. Having a base of recurring donors allows you to create a channel for major donors, a channel for corporate donations, and a channel for legacies. If you have donors and foundations, use various channels. Fundraising involves gaining and engaging supporters. A professional platform is vital. Understand what a payment platform, PSP, is, as it's just part of the equation, and why a fundraising platform is essential. Well, let's say that the fundraise exercise is 2 things, 2 lines. The first line is how I get more supporters, and the second line is how I constantly evolve and engage my supporters to move them to the next stage. That's why having a professional platform is so important. Without a fundraising platform, you won't be able to celebrate this evolution. That's why it's crucial to conceptually understand what a payment platform is, a PSP, because that's only a small piece of the equation, and what a fundraising platform is, and why you need it. And in this case, we've given a very superficial description of the fundraising platform. When you look into one of the cases, for example, in the fundraising stage, there are 1,000 reasons why you need it. And in this case, we've given a very superficial description of the fundraising platform. When you look into one of the cases, for example, in the fundraising stage, there are 1,000 reasons why you need it. On the other hand, a fundraising platform is the one that offers you the most of that. So it is very important for me that in some way, well, nothing, they understand that the fundraising platform is a must. Without that, you can't do fundraising efficiently. It's not just a bunch of payments. Please get that out of your head. A bunch of payments is not a fundraising gateway. A payment button isn't going to allow you to create or do real fundraising, and you need to do this right. So you have a fundraising platform that offers you many things. A lot of flexibility, an incredible gift of experience, super powerful forms, management of many types of recurrences, forms on many pages of the website, the creation of donor journeys, the creation of donation points, various types of forms, not only donation forms, but also lead forms, the ability to have data and reporting, a CRM process, a process to have an autoresponder, communication sequences, newsletters, the ability to generate schools from communications, create these two super important regions, generate web pages, have a KPI reporting meter within another platform that allows you to know, send donation certificates, generate web pages, create special projects, etc. Well, that's my intention for today. I want to explain a bit about the importance of fundraising platforms. The idea is for you to understand the concept of what a payment gateway is and what a fundraising platform is. The importance, fundraising platforms. The idea was for you to understand the concept of what a payment gateway is and what a fundraising platform is. And now that we understand it and have our foundation clear, let's move on to the next level, which is to talk about the basics that are required before you start fundraising. These are simple, but it's important that before you kick things off, you have this setup done to a reasonable extent. Okay, thank you very much. A hug. I hope you have a great day. Let's move on to the next section.